Yes, hello world. I'm Joseph Tehal and coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand. And welcome to the second episode of PaNZIT, the podcast. That's Pinoy and New Zealanders IT professionals. So welcome mga kapansitan. And first of all, thank you so much for listening on our first episode. And for those who haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. We'll really appreciate that kapag nag-subscribe kayo. So, para updated kayo sa lahat ng mga episodes na darating pa because there will be a whole ton more that we prepared for you. So, hello Mike, batiin mo naman ang mga viewers and listeners natin.
Magandang hapon and good afternoon, everyone. So, we are recording this right now, March 12 at 4 p.m. Because it's actually still sunny here in Wellington. And no wind, so I might go somewhere to do something, and that something can be cycling or anything I can think of with my son. Yeah, how about you, Yvonne?
Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm all good here in Auckland. We had a good news today. From level 2, we moved on to level 1. Yay!
Nice, nice. Hey, so no more. Go ahead, Joseph.
Guys, just a quick recap. Before this episode, we discussed a few bits from Daryl Taylor. Daryl is a Kiwi hiring manager as well, and I think there's really a good connect to what we are going to be discussing right now because we have Yvonne with us. As she said, she's coming from Auckland, so that's a Jaffa. Yvonne, what's a Jaffa? For me, a Jaffa is just another friendly Aucklander.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that what I mean?
I don't think there is any negative meaning behind it.
Or it's gonna be a funny Aucklander, so it's all good. So yeah. Cool. So thanks for joining us, Yvonne. It's been a while since we last met in person in Auckland because of the lockdown, right? Yeah. Probably that's more than a year ago. Tama ba?
I think more 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years, I think.
Yeah, 2019. Mm-hmm. And that was early 2019, if I remember.
That's right.
That's when we conducted a meetup with IT Pinoy and said.
Yeah, exactly. That's your, I think, a couple of months as a Red Hatter, Joseph. I remember that.
No, I'm not a Red Hatter back then.
No, you were still with Darako.
Right. Okay, I forget. Okay, cool.
All right. So since we already have Yvonne here, maybe you can help us tell about yourself to our listeners and what do you do for work? What do you do for your downtime? Things that interest you.
Well, first of all, my complete name is Yvonne Kristy Abuyabor. I'm originally from Cebu, Philippines, and I'm currently based in Auckland. We moved here in 2016 with my family. I've been doing IT recruitment for more than 10 years now.
Wow!
I started in Cebu, but I actually started my career in human resources. And then my last employer in Cebu was a Japanese firm. And when I joined them, I focused in IT recruitment because we were hiring software developers, test engineers at that time. So that's how my IT recruitment career started. And then I moved to Singapore, continued on with my work, and then here in Auckland. What else? I worked with clients across Asia Pacific. So when I was in Singapore, I was heavily working with clients across Malaysia, Hong Kong, and some who are based in Australia. And with my first job here in New Zealand, most of the clients were based in New Zealand. Right. Most of them are based in Auckland. A couple of them in Wellington and other regional areas. And also some of them in Australia, since our main office at that time was based in Melbourne. I currently work for Lexel Systems. We are an IT company, not the resourcing company, but I'm part of the team that provides resourcing services. So in Lexel, we provide different services. We've got cloud services, network services, managed services as well. And resourcing as a service is one of the services that we provide. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that's what I do.
How about in your downtime, Yvonne? Because we're also friends in Facebook, right? And I see a lot of your posts.
Like, you probably saw a lot of my
yes, and
running.
So,
Yeah.
being in Auckland, what do you guys normally do with your family, with your kids?
Mm.
Funny that you asked, Joseph,
Uh,
because I'm not really I wasn't really active when I was in Singapore. I don't know if
uh-huh.
you're familiar.
Mm.
In Singapore, it's
Yeah.
very city
Yeah.
life. I was
Yeah. Yeah.
active in
Yeah.
shopping, but
But of
I
course, yeah.
wasn't active with
That's
outdoor
right.
activities. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
in Auckland, I do a lot of hiking with my
Mm.
family. We've
That's
exposed the
awesome.
kids. I have a 7-year-old and a 6-year-old. So we've
Mm.
exposed them to nature, to outdoor
Mm.
activities. So we do a lot of walking every weekend.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I do run as well. I'm quite an exercise. How do you call it? I'm passionate about
Yep.
exercising. So
Mm.
I try to do it at least 3 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Wow.
so
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
discussing about that on our previous episode,
Mm.
Yvonne, on how
Mm.
the work-life balance in New Zealand is really good. So I think you're
Yeah.
also a
Yeah.
testament to that, right, Mike?
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I mean, for me, there's nothing else to do. We are not living in the city. We have
yeah,
a very good access to nature. So why not use that?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Yvonne, we are going too far, and we are supposed to be talking about your job here and how what are the tips that you can give to our listeners, right? And
Uh-huh.
and that's really the purpose of this
Yeah.
conversation we have. So, as a recruiter, what kind of accounts and basically what kind of skills are you handling? And not in this role, but the previous role that you have, so that you can actually give some ideas to our listeners what and how are they going to prepare if they're aiming to find a job here in New Zealand.
Okay, so just to give you a little bit of parang throwback,
Yep.
if
Yes.
for
Mm.
the lack of word. Um,
Mm.
Even if I was working, even if I am currently working as part of an IT company, we still
Mm.
recruit people for our external
Mm.
clients. So we recruit
Okay.
people for Lexel and also for
Mm.
our external clients.
Mm.
So
Yes.
the accounts that I've been working with are
Mm.
mostly enterprise businesses
Yep.
Yeah.
because these are Lexel clients. But with
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
previous company, because that was agency based, most of
Mm-hmm.
the roles that most of the clients that I was handling was with
Yeah.
startups, small to
Mm.
medium businesses. So
Wow.
your
Okay.
software product development houses,
Mm.
even startups with like five
Mm-hmm.
people in the team. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very different because now I'm working with the likes of,
Mm.
I don't know if I'm allowed to mention, but just the industry maybe.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
travel industry, the
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
entertainment, some of the
Mm.
health boards, even
Mm.
construction and manufacturing businesses.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they operate differently.
Yep.
Like with
Mm.
startups, like one person can just make the decision straight away, while with
That's
enterprise
right.
businesses, it has to go
Mm-hmm.
through different person
Approvals.
to get the
Yeah.
approvals and
Yeah.
whatnot.
I,
Yeah.
Mm.
I think that's really cool. When you touch a bit on startups, Wellington,
Mm.
probably Auckland is the same. It's really a haven for
Mm.
startups because
Yes.
Mm.
what they have here, they have investors who are willing to listen, and if they
Exactly.
see the business as viable, they will fund you. So
Yeah.
that's really one good thing. And
Mm.
you touch a bit that you have all the accounts that you were handling before, from enterprise
Mm.
to probably
Mm.
medium scale,
Mm.
and also
Mm. Mm.
startups. It's quite a
Yes.
wide variety of skills. But maybe you can
Mm.
help walk us through what do you think are the at least five most
Yeah.
desirable skills
In
in
the
the New
market.
Zealand market today, in the
Yeah.
workplace? So, yep.
So we're talking about technical skills,
Technical
right?
skills, that's right.
Yes, that's
Okay,
right.
cool.
Technical skills. Yeah.
Um, because right now I'm heavily focused in infrastructure roles.
Right.
So I'd
Mm.
probably say there are a lot of demands for support roles.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Your IT support, your desktop support.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is mainly because a lot of companies after the lockdown
Mm-hmm.
has realized that their systems are not really up for it. Like, people who are working from home, so they need people who can support them.
Yep.
So there is a high demand for IT support people nowadays,
Yep.
at least in the market that we are working now. I know on Seek there are, because we always check the job boards, different job boards
That's
every day.
Seek.co.nz, right?
Yes, that's right. So there is quite a mixture of development, business analyst, PMO roles, like your project managers and business analysts, and then recently some testing and QA engineer roles have come up. This is because early this year, companies have started hiring for PMs and BAs. So now it makes sense that they will hire for testers and QAs.
Correct.
So different, I think different, how would I say, different period of the year.
Seasons.
Has different, different season. Has different demands in terms of skill set. So it varies.
Correct.
So you mentioned desktop support is one, analyst is one, QA and test skills.
Project managers.
Project managers. And what is project analyst, or the PMO type of skills. So how about the cloud type of skills, like cloud engineer or the DevOps, and the and the microservice, the enterprise level skills? Do you see the demand as well right now, or
there is a demand. There is a demand, certainly, but I'd probably say it's not that if you compare it to other roles, it's not that high, but there is a demand. There is a demand. Like what you've mentioned, enterprise businesses, but what's the percentage of enterprise businesses across New Zealand, right? It's very small.
That's right.
So they are definitely hiring for cloud consultant, or even cloud architects, and the DevOps, even collaboration consultants, because people are getting into Teams or migrating their SharePoint to another platform, for example.
Correct.
So there is a demand now for collaboration. We noticed during the first lockdown, there was a high demand of security skills. So previously, like years ago, security was not even that in demand in New Zealand, right? I don't know if you've noticed, but after the first lockdown, there was a demand of cybersecurity analysts, threat analysts, penetration testers, all those skill set within the security. So different season has different skill set demands.
So I think, Joseph, what's interesting as well is we heard from Yvonne the skills, the top 5 desirable skills, as well as some or little demands on the enterprise level skill sets. What are the gap of salary that you think these different roles can basically, can you basically give us an example for that? And the follow-up question is, this is important for listeners. And the follow-up question is, if the New Zealand job market right now is looking for, say, I know I might offend other people here, but low skill type of roles, are New Zealander, or can the current workforce here in New Zealand supply that, or do you still need to get this from outside the country?
Well, first of all, we can't hire from outside.
Of course,
because the border is closed. So we have to, sadly, and that's where the challenge is for us, because we have to make use of what's available in the local market, and not many skills are available. But for the likes of support, I'm talking about niche skills, right? If you're talking about for example, DevOps or security. I mean, there's just a handful of them in the local market, like the good ones. But for support, there are a lot. I mean, the supply is very high. And also another issue is the visa. Companies immigration is quite strict. Some companies, or even most companies, are not accredited, so they can't sponsor. And those that are left locally are either waiting for their visas, or they need sponsorship and stuff like that. So that's where the challenge is. And also for skill set like project managers and BAs, a lot of most companies want the superstars, and there are only a couple of them, right? So I think that's where, I don't know if I've answered your question, Mike, in terms of when you asked about the gap. Well, that's where the challenge that's where the challenge is for us recruiters.
But guys, you know what? Even if the borders are closed, I think it's a good opportunity for not just our kababayans, but probably the listeners from the other parts of the world to get prepared. You know why? When the borders open, we will see the need for the same set, or probably better set of skill sets, right? So I think this discussion can help them encourage and be prepared when the borders open.
That's
true.
Actually, on that note, what do you think is your advice, Yvonne, to our kababayans when applying for a job here in New Zealand, considering the borders are already open, just like pre-COVID era? What do you think? Advice.
So I'd probably say, I think first of all, you have to be prepared, right? You can't just, if you are prepared to go to New Zealand, then you have to research about where you're going to.
Correct.
You can't just, you can't just say I'm going there, whatever.
Absolutely.
So be prepared. And even when you are applying for a job, before you even apply for that job, you do your research, right? Unfortunately, I see, I'm not just talking about our kababayans, but there are a lot of candidates out there who just apply to all the jobs that are available on Seek. You know what I mean? So it's quite frustrating to see that, because especially if you know that particular candidate has the skills for a particular job. But of course, you can't blame them if they've been out of job for a while. Then maybe that's their last resort. But preparation is very important. Research about the company, research about the role. Make sure that your CV is aligned to what you are applying for.
Very good.
And just list down all the skill set that you think that the company is looking for. And not just base it on the job advertisement. If you do your research and you find out more about that particular company, like for example, reading their mission and vision, just an example, then you can pick up words or things or whatever from their website and then include it in your CV.
That's very good.
Use similar words.
That's really good. That's really a good set of tips, Yvonne, because you also touch on not just the skills research, but also research about the lifestyle in the country. Just so you know, before I moved to New Zealand, I also interviewed guys in here. Oh, how's Wellington like? How's the life in there? Is it like, for example, people who love shopping, who love nightlife? It might not be
that's good.
Perfect fit for them. So the research is definitely a good advice. Thanks for that.
That's awesome. And another thing that I pick up, Yvonne, is catering the CV or the resume to the role that you're applying. That's very, very important, because I've been in my previous role in Datacom. I was actually the one who's receiving resumes from our recruitment agency, and I review it based on the roles that I'm looking, and most of it are rubbish, and I don't go ahead and continue reviewing the resume because I don't see the alignment of the skills of what I want, even though maybe that guy has the skills based on, first impression last in a
Yeah,
resume, I would
that's
say.
true.
That's right.
And also I think that's why it's also important to work with a recruiter, because if you are
Absolutely.
applying directly to a particular company
Mm,
and you don't have that, you don't have that advice. I
mm,
mean, if you would just rely on what you know, for example, and then you just straight away apply,
mm.
hiring managers, sorry about this, Mike, but hiring managers usually just look at the CV and the job description.
Yeah.
And then
I do that.
if it
Yeah.
doesn't match, then rejected, right?
Of course. Yeah.
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 So for
I
us
mean,
recruiter, what we do, where we add value is
yeah.
when we see the CV, but then if we know that this person has the potential, we go to that
Mm,
candidate and advise him to
mm.
reformat, to edit, to make sure that he's
That's
got
right.
all the skills,
That's
right?
very true.
Rather
Yeah.
than sending your CV and going to trash.
Yeah, yeah. And it's fair. Your comment is fair there, because most
Yeah.
of the
That's true.
hiring managers or the reviewers, they're busy doing
They don't have the
their
Yes.
time.
job.
Correct.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is just adding on top of what they are already
Yep.
doing.
Yes.
So yeah, cool. So I'm going to jump to the next question, and this is one of the hottest and the controversial topics. Right. So and and I don't know why Joseph asked me to ask you this, but yeah. But
Wasn't
this
sure
is
as well.
yeah, exactly. But this is really, this it really concerns me, because in Facebook people are asking, how about student path to enter New Zealand? Is this safe bet? Would you recommend this? Have you heard any success stories and horror stories as well? What is your opinion on that as a recruiter, Yvonne?
To be honest, I'd probably say I've heard
Mm,
a couple of success stories,
Ooh.
mhm.
This is on
but
the IT field, right?
in the IT field, yes.
That's right.
But
Mhm.
I know I've heard that there are a lot who took the student pathway, but
Mhm.
weren't that successful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some of my candidates have done that, and now they're
Mhm.
holding an open work visa, which
Mhm.
is, after they finish their studies, they'll be given 3 years work visa. And those
Mhm.
who are prepared are actually really focused in,
Mhm.
getting that work visa and then getting that resident visa.
Yep.
Mhm.
I know some people are getting distracted, like,
Mhm.
because if you're holding a student visa, then you can actually work part-time for 20 hours.
Correct.
Mm.
And other people are enjoying their part-time, and sometimes they forget
Yeah,
that, oh, actually I need to get that resident visa, and in order for me
that's
to
right.
get that, I need to get a job that's actually aligned to my
Mhm.
qualifications.
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just
so
just to add
yeah,
on to that, Yvonne. Just a disclaimer that we are not immigration
we're not
advisors.
immigration
And
advisors.
Yeah,
this
we are
this
not. We are not.
discussion is
Yeah.
just based on experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I do have to agree, Yvonne. For IT, there
Mm.
are really successful ones because
Yes.
Mike, we can pitch in into this, right? For example,
Mm.
if there are IT professionals who have like 5 years of experience, for example, in a
Mm.
specific field, that's very
Mm.
valid. New Zealand
Yeah.
wants that, and probably
Yeah.
other
Mm.
countries wants that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if there are, like, for example, maybe my experience is not enough, it's just probably
Mm.
2 years or so. So
Mm.
what they
Mm.
normally do is that they go to New Zealand and they
Mm.
study for about a year, for example, a
Mm.
certification on an IT
Mm.
course, security
Mm.
perhaps,
Mm.
and
Level
whatnot.
7 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
that's
Yeah.
that's what Yvonne was telling about. So
Mm.
they do have
Mm.
like certain
Mm.
certifications and
Mm.
qualifications that gives them a
Mm.
student visa and ability to
Mm.
work for a number of hours to sustain their studies.
Mm.
Yes.
That's right.
When they
Yes, that's
graduate,
right.
Yeah.
what happens, Yvonne, when they graduate on those courses?
Mm.
So when they graduate, they're given a 3-year open work visa, right? And
Mm.
I think that's what I don't know if that's previous pa or that
Yeah.
was just like 2 years ago.
Mm.
So yeah, so
But
when you have the work visa, you can work with
mm.
any company. You
Correct.
don't have that.
Yeah.
You don't have that restrictions. I mean, your
Limitation.
only
Yeah.
restriction is the 3 years validity.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
But then you have enough time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're after finishing your studies, if
Mm.
you're that focused, then you'll
Mm.
jump into getting a role that's aligned to your
Mm.
qualifications.
So,
That's right.
so
So
the
yeah.
short answer to my question, whether
Mm,
the student path is okay, it can be
mm,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it depends,
Yep.
Yeah,
right?
and I just want to supplement something, because I also knew some success story,
Yep.
and yeah, and these are the people who has, example, 5 years of experience, or maybe less than 5 years, but
Hmm.
they come here with certification, coming, what do you call this, industry certification. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, if you are an RHCE or MSCA or CCNA, it
Yeah.
actually add value, because certification in New Zealand somehow is valuable, especially for the entry level role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I want to say here is, if you really want to come here and you think you have money to spend in your student
Hmm.
path,
True.
make sure that you actually supplement that to make your case strong. Prepare and make sure that you get those industry certification.
Yeah. Because I heard the student pathway is not cheap,
It's not.
right? You
It's
It's
have
not.
not.
no, it's
Mm,
quite expensive, but it's
yeah.
kind of like an easy way to get
Yep.
to New
In
Zealand,
here. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And to
That's
So
quote and to
that.
quote Yvonne, try to avoid being distracted because the opportunity
That's
only
true.
comes once. So make the
Yeah.
most out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
True. True.
So
Cool.
I think exciting episode would be about immigration. Hopefully, watch out, guys, because hopefully we can find someone. Actually, we have someone in mind who can provide
Yeah.
legal advice, generic probably. But so watch out
Yeah.
for the next episode. So
Oh, that would
Awesome.
be a nice one.
Yeah.
we've talked about success stories, Yvonne, Mike.
Mm,
But
mm,
the reality is that not everyone
mm.
is successful. We,
Yeah.
Yes.
we've heard about the sad
Mm,
stories. We've heard about
mm,
people going back home even after studying.
mm,
Mm.
mm,
So, on that note, probably Yvonne first. What do you think are the challenges that you see when
mm.
recruiting foreign workers? Probably we can focus on Filipinos first. The challenges
Yeah.
and probably those stories that weren't that successful.
Mm,
Um, Challenges in terms of getting a
Yeah,
job,
yeah.
right?
Yep, getting a
mm.
job, getting hired.
Even getting an interview.
That one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Mm,
So I think what most Filipinos lack is
mm,
confidence.
Mm.
mm.
I've spoken to a lot of Filipino candidates, especially those who are new to the country.
Yeah.
So I noticed this most especially to those who are new to the country. I mean, those of local
Mm,
experience, they're quite okay now, but
mm,
they're well adapted. But those who are
mm,
new, they still
mm,
feel I think they still lack that confidence, even if they know they've got the skills, even if they are experienced. Sometimes
mm,
articulating that
mm,
in an interview is a bit of a
mm,
challenge.
mm,
So every time I have a candidate, a Filipino candidate, for example, I know like he is the one, for example, he
mm.
is the one for this
Yeah.
job. He is a
Yeah.
unicorn. So
Yeah.
he can do everything. But
Yeah.
then when he goes to the interview and
Yeah.
then, the positive feedback on his technical skills, but
Mm,
then
Yeah.
just lacking the
mm,
if
mm.
that's,
That's
like
right. Yeah.
really just
Yeah.
demonstrating and articulating it properly,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
is what most people lack.
Yeah, that's really good, Yvonne. And I feel that as well when I interview other people before, not only Filipinos but other nationalities as well.
Yeah.
And look at me and Joseph. We're full of confidence. We don't,
It's
Yeah.
not
we're
just you,
able to
Mike.
have a job. Yeah, exactly.
I think the important thing, Yvonne and
Yeah.
Mike, it's not just
Mm,
about confidence, but also enjoying the
mm.
conversation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing an interview, when you're the one being interviewed, if you show that you're enjoying the conversation, for
Mm.
example,
Yeah.
That's true.
if you're passionate about
Mm.
your skill set, express
Mm.
it, just enjoy it.
Yes.
Tell them
Yes.
about it.
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
the common mistake is that
Yeah.
people get afraid and get nervous because they
Yeah.
might think they're not enough. But if you
Yeah.
Yeah.
just talk about it with enthusiasm, that'll touch that
Yeah.
and enjoyment.
Yes, that's true.
You'll practically enjoy it. And you know what? Even sometimes
Yeah.
the interview actually leads to something else. Like, oh, it's just let's just talk about the hobbies that we have. we might tag along during Fridays, and
I always tell this to Joseph. Konting yabang, Joseph. Always make sure that
And I think
sprinkle some goodness.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to preparation. Kasi pag hindi ka prepared, even if you've got all the enthusiasm, pero you feel, you lack some information. Pagpunta mo dun sa interview, parang tama ba to? May konting doubt eh.
Yeah.
Pero if you're prepared,
really
then
good.
you can,
And then in interview, you don't need to show all your skills. You just need to
don't lay all your cards.
Sprinkle goodness from here and there, and make sure that that you can talk about those goodness in confidence.
Yeah.
That's basically the secret sauce there. All right.
Yes. True.
Well, you know what? I think this is.
I want to say something.
Yep.
Because I'm not only doing permanent roles at the moment. I'm also doing contract roles. So I want to say that those are two different things.
Correct.
I mean, that's obvious, but then when you're hiring for a contractor and a permanent person, the process and the mindset is different, right? So if you are a permie and you want to shift into contracting, then your mindset is different.
Yeah.
Same goes the other way around. So with contracting, it's like very straightforward. Like maybe sometimes just one interview and then that's it. You don't really have to. You just say everything what you know, what you've done, and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't mind about culture fit and whatnot.
So I want to touch about that, Yvonne. So if you are a Filipino or Pinoy from the Philippines and someone advertises there is a contract role here, would you advise them to apply, or is that, or is company like Lexel actually considering foreign workers to fill those roles, the contract roles?
For contract roles, it's very tricky.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because I mean the contracting market is quite small as well, and most people just know everyone else.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So they would prefer someone who's already got the local experience, because most of the companies who are hiring contractors are enterprise businesses.
Yep.
So they prefer someone who's already got that local experience, who's kind of like familiar of how it works. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So can you explain a little bit about local experience? Because when I was applying for a role in Australia from Malaysia, when I was still working for Shell, I was like, this company is only looking for local experience. What is local experience basically for you? How do you define that?
Yeah, for me, I think companies are using it just to discreetly say,
you need to be here.
Culture fit.
Yep. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Doesn't have, because I don't know, when they have that confidence if you've already worked in the local market.
Yep.
So it kind of like adds points to your application kind of thing. But then if you are a foreign talent, and for example, you are overseas applying when the borders are open, then what you can actually do is, obviously you don't have that local experience, but then you can actually highlight, if you have global experience, you can actually highlight that. If you've worked with global companies, then highlight that. Yeah. Because that's kind of like answering their local experience requirements.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
Confidence.
That's really super
that's
helpful.
A good point.
Yeah. Just tell them that you can understand the Kiwi accent, for example, because you've dealt with a lot of Kiwis in your previous work. So
yeah, why not?
That would work.
Or say Kia ora in your cover letter.
Actually, that's a good point. Understand. Try to speak the language. So
maybe it's a big ask, but yeah, it's a good tip there. Yeah.
But
that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's always like, for if you're the interviewer, if they greet you in, for example, Kiora or arigato gozaimasu or domo arigato, and so they would appreciate that because they know that you are researching. So yeah, I think that's good. We really had a good discussion, I think, and I think we really.
I hope that's
very
helpful.
It is, Yvonne, and
It is very helpful. Yeah.
I know one thing for sure. People are gonna ask for probably a few more questions. So, do you mind sharing your contact number or probably your LinkedIn profile so that they can
out there? Yeah, maybe not a contact number. Maybe not a contact number. Rather, LinkedIn profile is better. Yeah.
What is my LinkedIn profile? I think I'm Yvonne Kristy on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If you feel free to share the LinkedIn link.
I'll post it here.
Link, Joseph. Yeah. And the description.
Yeah. Yeah, we will do that. Yeah.
Yes, and also, you can look. I mean, my email address is on my LinkedIn profile.
That's right.
Visit the Lexel Resourcing as a Service LinkedIn page because that's where we post our job advertisement or any job updates that we have or urgent roles that we are working on. So if you can please allow me. Just want to do a bit of job ad as well.
Of course,
let's do that.
Someone out there is looking for a job. So I'm currently hiring or looking for a senior SQL DBA for Auckland. Most of these roles are based in Auckland. Service desk analyst, a senior BA with Teams rollout experience. A couple of roles within Lexel too. And a service desk analyst, Power Platform consultant, network consultant, Office 365 consultant, a collaboration consultant, and some of our contract roles, project managers, Scrum Masters, QA engineer with very strong Java and test automation experience.
There you go.
And desktop engineers.
Wow, that's really a lot of roles, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to say that if you're looking for a role and if your skills fits to that, just reach out to Yvonne, and that really shows that the market
is picking up.
Is booming. Because once the economy picks up, the IT market will also follow, and we've seen this in these activities already started earlier, even during the pandemic, where government has spent millions to really fast track their digital transformation. Even the banks are moving towards more digital and breaking their monolith to microservice to containerization and moving to cloud. So that's
a lot of banks are hiring at the moment.
They are.
That's right. Yeah.
Getting my candidates.
You probably
exactly. So.
All right. I think we're just really in the nook of time. Any last words to our listeners, Yvonne?
Well, I mean, if you are looking for a job, trust your skills that you can do it. You know, research, prepare. No harm. There's no such thing as over preparation. And seek an advice of a recruiter to help you out.
And that's Yvonne right there. How about you, Mike? Any last words for our listeners?
I like your advice. Enjoy the interview. Look forward to it, and make sure that you are able to explain and convince your interviewer that you are the right candidate for them. So come with confidence, and on top of what Yvonne is already mentioned earlier. Yeah.
Sweet. That's really awesome, Mike. And again, such a pleasure having you today. Yvonne,
my pleasure.
Thank you so much for your ordering. But maybe we can have you again next time.
Yvonne, salamat.
That would be great.
Yes.
And to all our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to watch out for our next episode.
To like.
And also feedback, Mike. We're getting good feedback. And if you have topics that you want us to discuss, feel free to comment on our videos. So we're more than happy to have a look and listen to your feedback. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Yvonne.
Yep. Have a good one, everyone. Be safe. Thank you.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.